So many of you out there, as overtasked, overworked, tired as you are, trying to figure out what the heck do we do? How do we protect our future? Because we can all see that there is, you see this? We can all see that there's a bank robbery going on right now. And we're watching our politicians stand outside the bank screaming, there's a bank robbery going on. As we watch this, as we're all watching this bank robbery in progress. And we see them doing nothing more than fighting with words. They're hurling words at the bank robbers as they're bagging up the money on the inside of the bank. We're all watching the CCTV footage that you would find coming from a bank. And we're saying, and then we look outside and we see the people who were tasked with doing something about the bank robbery, doing nothing more than hurling words at the people who were robbing the bank. And it's put us all in the position of wondering, are they like that person down at the bottom here in on the take? So here's the thing. If you're trying to figure out what should be done right now, yeah, your politicians are supposed to do something. The problem is that the politicians, especially on the Democratic side, the other side of the aisle, they're so used to being like workers of word. They just say stuff. And they give flowery speeches, and that's how they fight the fights that are going on right now. And what you all have surmised is that doesn't work. I want to tell you what will work and what should be done. we all told you a couple of months ago when the coup that was attempted in South Korea went down. We told you to pay attention to how the South Koreans overcame that coup that was going on. And we asked everyone to be ready for that. And the South Koreans were saying the same thing. Hey, y'all got to get ready because y'all are about to go through this. And it didn't take a soothsayer, somebody throwing some cards, bones, or whatever. No disrespect to that team because there are some highly skilled people in those fields. But it didn't take somebody with extrasensory capacities to know that when the Trump administration came along, that there would be a robbery. And we were all going to see it. And they had promised that there was going to be a robbery, except they told us that the people who were being robbed were really being robbed. In fact, they were the robbers. And now what people are coming to realize is that the Trump administration and its cronies are robbing you. And as we all try to explain to you all that the sacrifice of you will go down during the Trump administration, you and yourselves and your children, and now, and I'll have to create some content for you all to understand this. When that money goes, because there are things that are going to go down that you haven't quite surmised yet, like that are going to occur from this bank robbery that's going on and this double dealing that's going on at the bottom. The third guy at the bottom, he looks like he's also a part of the continuous bank robbery, and he is. But I'm also using him to help you guys to understand that there are robbers you can see and there are robbers that you cannot see. And the guy at the bottom who's taken the money, you don't see that back door that's been drilled into your finances. That's gonna be those guys at the top, because they can be seen. They already know they've been caught. And so they've created for themselves the ability for that guy at the bottom down there, who's down under the earth, under the bank, to continue to be able to access the wealth that's going to continue to be put in that bank, but is there. And really, he is going to be able to do what he is, his job. And so didn't Denzel Washington was in a bank robbery movie, and I for the life of me, my brain for the past few seconds while I was talking to you guys, it's clicking back to that film, The Inside Man. So there's an inside man now, series of individuals, and what's going to happen over time. I was trying to find a nice way to tell you guys this. The reason why I keep saying that there are some of you all who are not going to retire and you just don't knowing it. And the system that's being created is for you to just to work, 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 work. It's what slavery was. You worked until you died, and that's their belief. The same way they're going to keep raising the retirement age to an extent to where you won't be able to go. You won't be able to retire, and then when you try to just leave the country, which we haven't gotten there yet, this is going to confuse some of y'all, because America doesn't have friends, and other countries are burnt on the idea of housing Americans. Can't go there either. And so when I told you, you all going to be having to pour out of America in order to find a place that's more hospitable, in the way that refugees have had to pour out of countries because of what America has been doing in their countries. Yeah, that's what I'm referring to by you're going to try to retire and you can't. So you're going to sell your belongings and you're going to try to leave and go to another country, but you can't, because you cannot stay in those countries any longer than, say, a visitor. That's too complicated for some of you, and I don't want to scare you, but find me on YouTube and I'll try to start walking through this with you all, because a lot of people don't understand like the ramifications of what America's doing right now. They're burning every bridge, and they're going to keep doing it. And then what you're expecting is that there will be another Obama, and that Obama will have such a reputation and a way of going around the world the way Obama did, and apologizing after the Bush administration, apologizing. You remember that the apology tour? That's what it was called. That's what people are expecting. The problem now is, if you've been paying attention to international news and conversation, people can't trust contracts entered into by the United States, because those contracts will be entered into. People will get ready and be prepared and have built plans based upon those contracts. And then someone comes in and just says, no, we're not gonna do that. And so they have to then figure out, are we gonna wait for a new American administration, or are we just gonna stop dealing with America altogether? So I told you a while ago, America had been demonetized in ways that you just really haven't understood yet. And for most people, and I'll use students. Some students are very much so awake and aware, and they're a lot more awake and aware than, unfortunately, their parents. And they shouldn't. I'm not trying to make them live in fear. But if my generation, and I would even say my siblings' generation, or sibling generation, their generation, if we had to have had the level of data that you have right now, we could have taken different steps. So we wouldn't have been as focused on, some of us. I mean, I was the kid. I'm a nerd. So from way back, I'm the nerd from back in the day, to where when you were a black nerd, you had to go find that one or two other people like you, and that's how you congregated until the internet. But even the internet didn't have all the black nerds, like self-identifying. So you were still alone until you got to college, and then you went to graduate school, and then you just started making friends professionally. Okay, and so but I say all that to say, we didn't have what you guys have now. And so, although you have many of the vices that we didn't have, like we had computer gaming, like no doubt. I mean, I'm old, but I'm not that old. So we had computer gaming, okay? Even the conservative South where I lived, where our parents, they kept really tight control over like what games you were playing, because you weren't getting games through the internet, right? You were getting them, through your gaming system or like your computer. On a CD. That's too much information. But what I'm saying is that you better put down your vices, like whatever you're doing. Love your gaming. I love gaming too. But if that is distracting you from realizing your future is being robbed, you better get up and get active. The things that need to be done is that you need to study your opponent in the same way you study your opponent inside of a game. And you need to understand that actions like the black people, I think it was Cincinnati, Ohio, that they didn't have to get violent, but they did overcome those Yahtzees. And you're going to have to do the same thing with what's going on right now, because unfortunately, your future is about to be